Alright, for number 15, we're going to write the following proof. You must include the correct markings on the figure. So when we include the correct markings, we're going to start with what's given. So it says that AB is parallel to ED. So to show parallel, we just draw the arrow. AB is parallel to ED. And so what I also like to do when I'm doing the markings is, since it says AB is parallel to ED, and it's given anywhere over here, I see that, I want to go ahead and write the word given. Okay. Now it says CA is congruent to CD, so segment CA is congruent to segment CD. So again, I want to look on the right and find where I see this repeated. So CA is congruent to CD because given. So you should never leave a proof blank. If they give you information, you should at least be able to figure out where it is and then write the word given. Alright, so now let's actually start doing some proving. And so if you look here, it's going to say angle A is congruent to angle D. So we need to mark it. So angle A is congruent to angle D. Now this wasn't given to us, so we don't write given. So we want to figure out, why are these two angles congruent? They are definitely congruent, but why? And so it's because of these parallel lines, and this is our transversal, so that means that angle A and angle D are what type of angles? And that would be alternate interior angles. So angle A is congruent to angle D because alternate interior angles are congruent. So now we know an angle, we know a side. Is there any other information I know by looking at this picture? And so I want to see, do the triangles share a side? No, they don't share a side. Is there anything else I can look at and figure out? Well, when these two lines cross, what happens is they make a pair of vertical angles. And we know that vertical angles are congruent. So we want to say that angle BCA is congruent to, so notice I started on the short side and I went to the side with the congruent mark, the one congruent mark. So I have to repeat that. So BCA is congruent to ECD. And we know that these two angles are congruent by the vertical angles theorem. Now if you look at your markings, I know this angle, I know this side, I know this angle. So as soon as I know angle, side, angle, these two triangles are congruent because of angle, side, angle. Alright, for number 16, we are going to complete the proof. So again, you got to include the correct markings, but notice here there's nothing given. So what you want to do is you want to use the template that we used for problem 15 and just model it here in 16. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start here. And this says FA is congruent to CE, so we'll mark it. And so now write it. Segment FA is congruent to segment CE because given. Now let's say CE is congruent to CA is congruent to FE. So the CA is congruent to FE. So we can say that segment CA is congruent to FE because given. So, like I said before, you should never leave a proof blank. You know something. Alright, so now as we look at this, is there any other information that we know that's not given to us? So do the triangles share anything? And as you look at it, these two triangles share the same side. So mark it. So we mark it with an X. And so we know that FC is congruent to FC because, so when something is congruent to itself, it's like it's looking in a mirror. And so we say the reflexive property of congruence. So now we've shown that we have a side, and a side. We have our two givens. We use the reflexive property to show that FC is congruent to FC. So now I'm going to be able to say that these two triangles are congruent to each other. So triangle, let's do C, E, F. C, E, F is congruent to, so I started here, I went 1, 2, so we'll do the same thing. 1, 2, triangle FAC. So why are these two triangles congruent? Because side, side, side. So now go back and figure out what we're trying to prove. And we're trying to prove that these two, angle A is congruent to angle E. Well, since I've shown that the two triangles are congruent, that means the parts of the triangles are congruent. So now I can write angle A is congruent to angle E because corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. So the shortcut is CPCTC.